I am. Okay. I'm not really sure exactly what I'm going to say in this video. I'm not really sure what I say in any of my videos. I have like a basic idea, and then I just kind of let it flow out because I don't always know exactly what I'm supposed to say or what I should or shouldn't say. So I trust that if I'm just letting it flow, then what I'm supposed to say will get said, and what I'm not supposed to say won't get said. Because not everything's supposed to get said. Some of the things you're just supposed to have to find for yourself. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Christ and so-called deities. Okay, so Christ. So from a Christian point of view, Christ was this God, the God that came down and was born as a baby, and he came to conquer death and save you from your sins. He came and died. He was tortured and he died at the end. And from my perspective, that's a load of baloney. That's not what happened at all. Um, what he was tortured, but the torturing happened at the beginning. He was in heaven. In heaven, where there's not any torture, saw everybody else getting tortured down here because of their lack of knowledge, and decided to come down to let them know who they were so that they could save themselves. And Christ is a name, Christ is an energy, Christ is a concept, not a person. It can be a person, it can manifest as a person, just as energy can manifest as anything. This frequency can manifest as a person or concentrate inside of a vessel and express itself, but it's not just a person. And it's the same thing with all the deities. So you get all these people out here and they're like, oh, I'm this God, or I think I'm this God, or this God, or this God. No. You might be. But that's not to say that somebody else isn't too. And maybe they're more of that God than you. So you got to be real with yourself. These deities are energy signatures that pervade the whole reality and concentrate in certain vessels in certain times to keep a balance. They're not just a single deity that's sitting up there in the clouds. That's not really how it works. So that's why it's always very important to know yourself, because once you know yourself, then you kind of figure out what part you play in the midst of everything else. So yeah, Christ didn't die at the end. Christ died at the beginning. He, lost his wings or whatever, came down, and yeah, he descended into hell, killed himself technically by his own free will, killed himself, so he could come down and help you guys. But he also said in the Bible, and Christians don't like to, I don't know why they don't say this all the time, because it says everything to me. Ye are children, and ye will do greater things than me. So, and as above, so below, as within, so without. So in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the sons of man. Everything is the same thing. So all these deities that they talk about in all the mythology and all that, they're all right here, right now, because this is the end of the cycle. So they're definitely going to be here. They're probably here. No, they're not probably. And I'll probably talk about that in another video. They were here throughout the whole cycle, but they just had different jobs based on the outside circumstances. But during the end times, when the contrast is the greatest, their light seems like it shines a little brighter because there's more of a contrast between the light and the dark. So if you have these so-called deities of light, their light's going to seem like it's shining brighter because they're splitting away from the darkness. So people start to wake up and they're like, I think I'm Jesus. I think I'm Jesus. You might, but not Jesus, but you might be a Christ being, for sure. You might be a Christ being. Technically, everybody who goes up into heaven is a Christ being, because you are following in the footsteps of Christ. You're following that certain energy signature that's getting you there. That 13th frequency, that's the Christ frequency. That's like 12 disciples. Jesus was the 13th one, the 13th frequency. You take all the ones below and you become the one. It's like the pyramid is so important too, because it's like you it's like, so you have a, okay, uh, let's say you have a certain archangel, and this is just an example. Let's say you have a certain archangel, let's say Michael, okay? You'll have an angel, you'll have somebody down here who is the archangel Michael, but this is just a way to think about it. Think about Michael as like a last name or a title instead of as a specific being. Because if you take the pyramid, so you might have, okay, so the creator created this archangel Michael. Boom, he created this energy, and this energy, is a warrior, and it leads, and it does this, and it does that. Okay, so created one. But then this Michael, he's also an aspect of creator, so he does what creator does. He creates, but he recreates himself. So he might have offspring, and they bear the same name, and they take up their father's mission, you could say. So you might have the same energy on a different planet. That will be Michael, this will be Michael. Okay, so, and so at the top you have the one Michael, and then it starts to split down. So everything in that pyramid is technically Michael, but once you get to the bottom, it might be mixed in with some other, like maybe a different angel or a different deity or maybe it has some darkness in it, and it just balances out at the end. And as you come into yourself, you become more pure. So you might get born and just have this little incy bits of Michael in you. And if you choose to feed that, it'll grow and it'll kind of overtake you. Or same vice versa with the darkness. You have this little piece of darkness in you, and if you feed that, it might overtake you. It's like that old Native American saying, everybody has two wolves inside of them, one good and one evil. And then the kid asks, well, who wins? And he says, the one that you feed more. So if you starve one energy, that energy will die off, just like a parasite, but vice versa, both. If you starve the light's going to go out too. So it's whatever one you identify with, whatever you choose to be. Everybody has light and dark inside them, and technically, depending on your soul and what you've done in all your past lives, you might get born with a little bit more dark, you might get born with a little more light. But you technically have to have both to exist. So even Lucifer, the darkest being that you can say that there is, has light in him. And when the time comes, he will be purified. It's like, one of the archangels might just like Kamehameha, just purify his ass, and then he'll be a light being again, technically. And then he'll go back into, and this is just an example, he could go back into heaven and say hey to all the family, and he'll be all good, but over time, because of his nature, that little bit of darkness, because even in there, you might still have a little bit of darkness in you. And this is the other thing too. Darkness it's not to take away your darkness. You're not trying to get rid of your darkness. You're trying to master your darkness. So as a dark being, you must master your light. And as a light, I won't even talk about that. I'll just talk about the light. As a light being, you must master your darkness. So it's like your darkness is like you could say it's like your bitch or your pet, It's like you're a light being and you see everything from a higher perspective. You're like, yeah, I see my mission. I see what I'm going to do. But sometimes I got to crack skulls, or sometimes I got to, destroy something, or sometimes I got to do this because it's just in my nature to do that. So I send my dark side out there to do that, because you could say that, killing is dark, but sometimes it's necessary to kill, like in self-defense, or, if there's somebody out there killing a whole bunch of people, and the laws of the universe say that, well, you've been out there killing a bunch of people, so someone got to kill you now. That might be a force of light that's killing you now. But that light being doesn't let that darkness, like some people get like a thrill out of killing. That light being's not going to kill. It's like the Jedi. Like the Jedi know that, like they won't want to kill, but they know that sometimes they got to kill. Whereas the Sith, they get pleasure out of that shit, like bringing pain and confusion and all those things that just take you away from the light. That's what they want. And one of the biggest tools of the dark is to hide. So it's not to get rid of your darkness. It's really not to get rid of your darkness. You could try to minimize your darkness or get rid of the darkness that doesn't best serve you, but you're not supposed to. I don't want to say that. For me, I'm not going to get rid of all my so-called darkness. I'm going to see it for what it is and use it. I'm going to master it and make it work for me. Because technically this whole reality that I'm in, I could say is darkness, but I'm not going to just get rid of it because I see its purpose and its value, so I'm going to use it. Yeah. So, um, mhm. So yes, there are all these gods, but at the same time, everything's energy and it manifests in different ways. So I could say I'm this god or 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 this god. Technically, I'm every god, but in this very moment, can I call myself a god? No, because like the 13th son says, like, can I just create a planet? No, I can't do it. I mean, maybe I could do it. I don't know. But I haven't done it. So how can I identify myself as something that I'm not being in this moment? If I'm not being this God that's all powerful, can do all this, and then I can't call myself that. And if I call myself that, the universe is going to come put me in check. So if you're out here and you're calling yourself a certain deity, it's like, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong to call yourself a certain deity or to say that, you can say I resonate with this deity or this deity, it makes sense to me or this and that. But if you're out here calling yourself a certain deity, make sure that, you're compelled from the inside, I guess, like that you're living up to that title, because it's not, like I said, it's make sure that you've synchronized with that energy signature. So if you want to call yourself a certain archangel, okay, but are you, and not all the stories are true. So you're calling yourself this certain archangel, but if that information is not coming from the source, the information is not coming from the inside, you don't really know, because you might hear a story in the Bible about a certain angel, and that might be partially bullshit. So you're out here thinking that you're something, but you don't even know really what you are. So the universe you're gonna bring negative karma on yourself, because you're gonna be bringing this. The universe will put you in check. The universe always puts you in check because you're out of balance, you're out of harmony. You're saying something but doing something else. So the universe is gonna come let you know, and that's the beauty of it, really. So yeah, and I won't say too much about the other Christ thing, because I know 13 Son talked about the Christ and Christala, and you got Krishna, and all like that. I like the Bhagavad Gita, by the way. You should check that out. It's a good. So it takes a pretty light view of things too. I like that. And the reason why the Christians, you got to think about it. The reasons why the Christians put all that, like when Mel Gibson made that movie, The Passion of the Christ, and he's out there just torturing that dude forever, and just like I was watching some interview or something, and they were talking about how they had like some dude standing on the outside squirting blood out of a syringe. That's how much they wanted it to be all. It's because that's some evil shit. That's some real evil shit. They bathe in blood, and that's what they like. They like that shit. Not Jesus. Christ wasn't about none of that. Wasn't about none of that. That's what they're about. So that's because that's your God. Jesus, Zeus, the demiurge, or the I guess you could say the demigods, the fallen ones. They know the story too, but they just skew the story for their purposes, because they know that story's in your DNA. That's why they can't just not give you religion and not give you these stories, because you'll know that there's something missing. So they give you something that is sort of like the truth, so you'll stop looking. And once you stop looking, that's why then you're just done, because you're stagnant. Now you're a swamp. You're not moving anymore. When it's a swamp, there's no life. When it's flowing, you're constantly moving. Now there's life. Yeah. I hate being on this time limit. It makes me anxious. Okay, so I got like 30 more seconds. Christ, deities, yeah. So I guess I think I got the idea across. I hope. Yeah. So I guess I'll be back to make another one. I think I'm gonna